If I would describe espresso briefly, I would probably mention a few keywords. Those would be precision, consistency, and high pressure. Besides the coffee itself, of course, espresso needs those three main components to be good. Now, precision, consistency, and high pressure is going to directly point on the tools and technique, as indeed these three parameters depend on whatever tools you are using and how you use them. This means that your equipment and the knowledge of using them are the key to achieving good espresso. However, on the other side of this, the main barrier for approaching good espresso at home has been the struggle on keeping both equipment and budget in check. When it comes to good espresso at home, we always want to get preciseness and consistency without spending too much. In this framework, as usual, I'll try my best to condense on the few essential techniques and main components. In this way, we can focus on the few essentials that really do make the difference. Simplification is one crucial aspect to take into account if you are in a budget. Before we get into the tools and technique, the first thing that you should address is the coffee. The freshness and quality is always key. Nothing would save a stale coffee. In fact, I have a more in-depth video about that, so you can check that out first if you are interested. As a sequel to that video, we are going to focus more on the tools and the technique of espresso preparation. Yes, sure, the brewing process itself is also important, but this is more tightly tied to your espresso machine and would need a much more detailed explanation. So I'll do that in another dedicated video. In this video, I'm going to focus on things you do around the actual espresso brewing, anything related to the preparation. This includes the grinding, the puck preparation, and other more general steps in the workflow. But before that, I would like to thank Taimo for providing samples of the gears used in this tutorial. The equipment made this tutorial possible. Now for accuracy, get your scales ready. It's always advised to use scales that have a 0.1 gram accuracy. This is because each bean typically weighs around 0.2 grams. In most workflows, the dose is the one that is least often changed. It's usually determined by the combination of your coffee roast and your machine. With my setup, I locked the dose at 17 grams. After you're sure about the bean's weight, simply put it in the grinder. While we are preparing for grinding, I would like to talk a bit more about espresso grinders. When I just started getting into espresso, like 10 years ago or so, you either had to pay a lot more or improvise with a filter optimized grinder that's very inadequate. Nowadays, things are very different. Many options are available. One recently released coffee grinder is the Timor Weary 01S. It's a budget-friendly electric grinder that is precise enough for espresso grinding. It is precise enough mainly due to the fact that it has the bare bones of a proper electric grinder, a sharp stainless steel burr. Not only that, it has a precise grind adjustment change. Choosing the right grind size requires careful testing and tasting. With the Weary, you have about 20 different clicks to precisely adjust for your desired result. Each click corresponds to a burr-to-burr distance change of 25 microns. This means that there is plenty of room to play around to get the right exact settings. This is something that has been missing for ages in the budget electric grinder space. With that done, comes the puck prep. I believe this could be quite controversial, But my most efficient and budget-friendly workflow to date involves pretty simple steps. With the ground coffee inside the grinder, my best practice is to shake the grounds a bit for 5 seconds or so. What this does is reducing the amount of ultrafines through some mechanisms. Probably just static electricity, but could also be other things. But regardless of the reason, this step makes a bit of a difference. It makes my shot a tad more consistent. You can kinda see the side-by-side difference to see what I'm talking about. I should also mention that this is another benefit of using a compact grinder like this. To transfer the grounds into the portafilter, I prefer to just transfer it normally. It's just a deliberate and quick process. It's simple and doesn't need expensive additions. Yes, I know that this method might be messy and imprecise, but I stand by the fact that this method works and is good enough if you want to get the best out of your money. It might not look elegant, but it's something that can mimic the result of a blind shaker. Anyway, controversies aside, let's just carry on. Before tamping, I like to collapse the grounds a little bit, just very lightly. You don't want to do too much of this step. As always, for tamping, it should be a simple process. Get a tamper that fits to your portafilter's diameter, and I also think it's a good practice to check the flatness of the tamper at this stage, right before tamping. I like to go around the portafilter checking if the tamper is indeed level. Be perpendicular to the ground, then push with one single motion until the puck is compact. Practice makes perfect, so if you want to improve, take a close look at how flat your tamp is after tamping. I don't think pressure or depth control is needed. You know it's tamped properly when there is some resistance, and I think that's about it. Another aspect that you need to be very careful of is the temperature of your machine. This will be mostly machine dependent, but this is especially true for budget espresso makers. It's essential to ensure that your machine is heated properly. You want to make sure that there is enough thermal mass in your gear, so that temperature is controlled better. The simplest way to do this is to transfer as much heat to whatever you are using to brew with. In my case, I simply dip the brew chamber inside a cup of hot water. It works for me and is pretty simple. Depending on what maker you use, this will be different, but the principle is going to be the same. Then you can finally set the stage for brewing. There is more to talk about here, the timing, the yield and many other things. We'll get into that in another video. For now, you can just enjoy the brewing process. And that's pretty much it. This, let me tell you, looks and tastes better than most espressos you'll get in random cafes. And now to wrap this all up, it just took me $20 for this normal metal tamper, $150 for a good grinder like the Weary 01S, and $50 for the Black Mirror mini scale. This shows that these days, even with just around $200 of accessories, you can get into the level of great espresso, or even less if you use the link in the description for a discount in Time More Gears. Additional things like hot water, the cup, the mugs, the knowledge, they are pretty much free. Well, not sure about the last one, but I hope this video is a strong argument for that. Plus, the whole process only took 10 minutes to finish, and that's with me moving camera gears around. So not only that the results were good, the workflow is also fast and reliable. With not a lot of investment, one can see a leap of quality forward. So if you are a home barista, I believe there's no reason for you to say that it's impossible to make good espressos in a budget. And so I hope this video was quite useful for you. And let me know if you have any suggestions or questions. With that being said, let's wrap this up and until next time.